Across the country, new college graduates are crossing the stage ready to take on the workforce.
Or are they? A recent study found 3 in 4 companies are having issues with recent graduates whom they hired. Some of the reasons they listed, well, a lack of motivation, a lack of initiative, a lack of professionalism, poor organizational skills, poor communication skills, difficulty working as a team. Other than that, they're doing great.
Yikes, that's a pretty long list, Jim. CBS News Miami's Trish Christakis is live on FIU campus where graduations are taking place right now. Trish.
Yeah, you guys, and some graduates are receiving their degrees, some also with a job in hand, those lucky ones. Now, this is a day about celebrating their accomplishment. Now, it also comes with a lot of expectations. So we wanted to know how some of these graduates feel about their work ethic being questioned.
All right, so we're about to go ahead and dig into this. So first of all, question of the day. It's actually a two-parter. What is the number one characteristic of a successful employee, and what defines success within the workplace? Now, throughout this video, I'm gonna play devil's advocate a little bit because it would be real easy for me to get on here and make a video, bashing and bagging on Gen Z like everybody does on my own generation. But I want to challenge a lot of people's point of views, and I want to bring up some points that I haven't really heard anybody talking about this touch on. So I'm gonna let the video play a little bit longer, but we really about to break this down.
Sometimes employers think that your group, your class, your generation does not know how to handle the workforce.
Inside this room at Florida International University's Student Academic Success Center, Clotilde Picard-Layer leads a session preparing students for life in the real world.
So I'm going to pretend that I'm the employer.
A world where more employers believe Gen Z, people born between the late 1990s and early 2010s, aren't prepared enough for the demands of the working world.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and pause it right there. Here's the big question, right? And this arguably could have been the question of the video, but everyone keeps saying Gen Z is not prepared, Gen Z is lazy, Gen Z is this, Gen Z is that. Here's my question. Well, really two questions. First of all, how do you get prepared? What's supposed to prepare you for the workforce is school. So, it's almost like, a child acting up out in public. Are you going to get mad at the child, or are you going to get mad at the parents for not properly raising the child and putting the child in a position of success? The second question I have is, if I can back up to those numbers they had on the screen, how do you somehow have an entire generation, millions and millions of people, the next generation of people in the United States, all somehow magically just become a monolith, all of them, and develop all of the exact same character flaws when it comes to the workforce? Is because I don't believe these are character flaws. I believe that it's simply a result of the progression of technology in the world being as connected as it is. Now, as an old head, you could say all of these kids are, lazy, they're this, they're that because of social media. They need to get off social media, bruh. Let's be real. It's not a realistic ask to ask anybody to get off of social media, and to an extent to even stop comparing themselves to other people. I'm not saying it's right or wrong, but I'm just saying that's what it is. And at a certain point, we got to get out of speaking from an emotional standpoint and just a perspective of anger and wanting to blame somebody when we're speaking about these topics if we actually want to get results. Now, as for my personal views on how, Gen Z and even younger millennials are starting to view the workplace. First of all of these things on the screen, I don't think that these are actually true. And I don't believe that the entire generation is a monolith and they all have all of these flaws. I think that these are labels that are being thrown out there almost as shaming tactics by a lot of companies and a lot of hiring managers, because the younger generation, now that, the world is as connected as it is, and, everybody can see what everybody else is getting. I think that, to a degree, yes, is it bad that people are trying to compare, make a one-to-one comparison from themselves to other people? Yeah, you could say so. But it also is almost like a checks and balances kind of system, a way of holding company accountable and not letting them get over on you. See, a lot of people are almost like taken back and offended by the fact that you now have young people coming in the door trying to actually negotiate a salary instead of just being grateful for whatever beginner or entry level offer they might get. Even my best friend, he's getting ready to graduate as an engineer, and he has a couple of different offers lined up, and he's actively using those offers that he's already gotten to negotiate a salary with other companies that may want to hire him on. See, I look at a lot of things through the perspective of an entrepreneur. A lot of y'all like to try to come for me in the comments whenever I mention entrepreneurship in any capacity, but that's just my path in life. That's what I've chosen. So one of the things that I've studied is the relationship between an employer and an employee. And we tend to refer to it as a relationship just in casual conversation, but it never was supposed to be a relationship. It was supposed to be a partnership. The difference between a partnership and a relationship is you go into a partnership expecting to profit off of each other. There's not really that many emotions involved. A relationship is emotional, and that's what it's developed into. Or rather, that's what employers have grown to expect out of employees, someone looking for a relationship, an emotional relationship, rather than just a partnership, thanks to baby boomers and Generation X, my generation's parents and grandparents. See, whenever we're talking about the job market or the cost of living or, the housing crisis or the cost of automobiles, it's always doom and gloom. Everybody's first question is always, why could my parents afford these things at my age, but I couldn't? It's always, like I said, it's always just super doom and gloom. No one ever wants to look at the bright side or the advantage that we have over them in current days, which is that we have access to infinite knowledge. There is nothing that we can't get educated on if we so choose. Because older generations legitimately were just able to go to college, get a degree, and go work at the same job for 40, 50 years until it was time to retire and then die, because that was the lifestyle and it was so simple. A lot of people did live in blissful ignorance. I can attest to that because I come from a lower middle class family, which before me and my siblings and cousins, when my parents were growing up, they were poor. They were in poverty. Pretty much everyone in my family over the age of 55, they might have like a 401k, they might have some kind of savings. A lot of them were in the military, so they get a check every month from the military. But pretty much everybody over the age of 55, nobody even knows what a brokerage account was. I was literally during Christmas a couple of weeks ago having to break down my investment strategy to older people in my family, people triple my age, and they were surprised and asking me how I know all of this. I know it because number one, I have the internet, and number two, the volatility of the economy has created a necessity for financial literacy in even the most average everyday person. All of this loops back into this Gen Z conversation and, all of these things that are thrown up on the screen right now from these various hiring managers around the nation, because it's uncomfortable for employers now that young people aren't going to let you get over on them the way that older people was. But if y'all think I'm wrong, let me know down in the comments below. I'm going to go ahead and let the rest of the video play out, probably add a little bit more commentary here and there.
Working as a team. Other than that, they're doing great.
Yikes, that's a pretty long list, Jim. CBS News Miami's Trish Christakis is live on FIU campus where graduations are taking place right now. Trish.
Yeah, you guys, and some graduates are receiving their degrees, some also with a job in hand, those lucky ones. Now, this is a day about celebrating their accomplishment. Now, it also comes with a lot of expectations. So we wanted to know how some of these graduates feel about their work ethic being questioned.
Sometimes employers think that your group, your class, your generation does not know how to handle the workforce.
Inside this room at Florida International University's Student Academic Success Center, Clotilde Picard-Layer leads a session preparing students for life in the real world.
So I'm going to pretend that I'm the employer.
A world where more employers believe Gen Z, people born between the late 1990s and early 2010s, aren't prepared enough for the demands of the working world. The study by online educational magazine Intelligent.com found 65% of hiring managers found recent college graduates to be entitled. 63% believe they get offended too easily, and more than half think they lack work ethic.
Another thing, too, this is not backed up by any actual data or quantifiable results. It's just people throwing out whatever they think, and we don't know exactly where this came from. We also don't know how many people were polled in getting that information. So there's a lot of factors that are a little bit misleading here.
Started by asking these graduating students how they define the term.
Like values of excellence, values of leadership, values of character. Work ethic is the expectation that you hold on yourself as to how you deliver your work.
They expect flexibility, growth opportunity, and the resources to succeed.
And there's the issue. Now people actually expect out of an employer an opportunity to succeed.
Also say there is no clock that can determine someone's work ethic.
I don't believe that working long hours or holidays makes you have more work ethic than others. It's rather than the results that you deliver to your employer and learning how to manage your own time.
I think that we shouldn't just be guided by our job and like our work, but we should be also guided on like, okay, what is my like life aspect?
For any place that you work for, having like people who are like who provide like a good value to your life, and they provide like a good environment where there's diversity, like you're comfortable.
And while they are,
do these people sound extremely lazy and entitled? Everybody, all three of them mentioned bringing value, right? And again, it goes back to what I said about prioritizing a partnership over a relationship. Nobody is looking at their job for emotional fulfillment anymore. People are clearly looking at it from an objective point of view. How much value does the employer bring to me, and how much value can I bring to the employer? Let's have an equal, fair exchange.
Are focused on balance. 21% of hiring managers questioned by Intelligent.com say recent college graduates can't manage the workload.
Just go like, I quit. You know what? Or I'm taking the day.
But FIU Executive Director over Integrated Partnerships and Career Readiness, Ruth Pacheco, says she's not seen that in students at FIU.
They're driven. They are full of energy. They're looking for opportunity.
What she does see is students who ask a lot of questions, and she said sometimes that can be misunderstood.
I do see that our students in this generation does like to ask a lot of questions, and I think that sometimes that may be seen as some level of entitlement.
Exactly. She's exactly right. Now that people actually have like somewhat of a baseline or an example outside of themselves, they have something to compare their offer to. They want to ask the right questions to make sure it's actually a good fit. They're not just jumping in, and they're not just taking what's given to them just because they're entering into an entry-level role. People actually want to make sure it's a good fit, and that they'll actually get some value out of the exchange. And that's an issue.
Checo says employers see a lot of enthusiasm at campus career fairs.
I see a student that's more intentional about understanding what are the values that employers have, which is something that we did not see before.
We've never seen it before, ever.
Now, Pacheco says the idea that younger generations don't work as hard as the previous one isn't a new perspective. She says successful employers build talent pipelines through internships, shadow programs, and campus workshops. Now, she finds that helps everyone in the long run. Reporting in West Miami-Dade, Trish Christakis.
So I'm going to go ahead and cut it right there. Let me know what you guys think about this. Is the younger generation actually entitled, outside of your biased opinion? If you are biased, if you think my perspective is wrong, let me know in the comments below. I can't wait to read you guys' feedback and have a real conversation about this topic.